Any Bollywood fans in the audience here? Yes? Raise of hands? Quite a few. There is, we have countless movies. The hero slowly stands, starts erupting, and the music begins to swell. A few years ago, I got to live that moment. A major transformation program that I worked on had gone live. And as part of it, we upgraded a lot of systems. We saved millions, and we did a market launch. And that was a kind of moment that gets captured in press releases and media. As I looked around, something felt missing. In a world which is obsessed with visibility, it's almost like if it's not visible, it doesn't exist. We have in fact built the entire ecosystems around it. We call them leaderboards, dashboards, social media metrics. But my submission to you today is, behind every visible success that you see in the spotlight, there is a cast of 5 invisible characters working in the background. And I'll explain those characters, those 5 to you. Since we established there are quite a few Bollywood fans here, we established that multiple times. Any guesses which movie does this picture remind you of? Chak De India, yeah. And this is a movie about a disgraced, former hockey player who gets to coach Indian women hockey team. And together, they lead to a fantastic victory. If you think about it, that coach, not a star, players were no celebrities, but together they worked tirelessly to create history. When I was tasked to lead that same transformation program I told you earlier about, the challenge was enormous. And I can tell you, the solution did not always work out as we had projected on the planning decks. It actually came as a result of silent, persistent effort by many builders. In fact, there was one engineer on the team who stayed late until 2 in the morning so that we could fix a bug to go live the following morning. Yeah. There are many people like that developer who love to make things work, who are working in the background. And if it's not because of them, we would not have successes like the transformation program. In fact, through the years, I got to work with many such people. I've worked with interns, which ends up saving weeks of effort. I've worked with junior analysts who can spot an anomaly which many experienced people cannot. And I've worked with support engineers who have this ability to stay very calm during outages and critical situations while the rest of us panic. So which brings me to my first invisible force. It's the quiet builders. It's people who are working in the background to make things happen. All right, another Bollywood moment. I can see, look on some of the faces, guesses are happening. Think of the movie Lagan. Yeah? It's a movie set in the colonial times, before India got its independence. And the story is about a group of villagers who challenged British officers into playing a cricket match. And their motivation was to actually use a cricket victory as leverage not to pay high taxes. And I know for a fact tax is a topic which is on many people's mind these days. Those villagers had no training. They had no idea how the game is played. But together, they built a system. They built a system that was able to help them train each other, support each other, communicate with each other. And that system could actually withstand the test of all odds. And that's what systems do. Some of the large organizations I got a chance to work with over the years, I can tell you, big part of the reason why everything works so beautifully comes down to the systems these organizations have. And you know these systems in different shapes and forms. Sometimes you know these systems as the operating model, sometimes as the platform, sometimes as the governance framework. And if these systems were not there, things will simply fall apart. Because when these systems don't work, we realize how much we depend on them. So next time, when you see something successful, or you have a seamless experience holding everything together, and that's really the second invisible force. Let me now tell you about someone I got to work with once. She was not a CXO, and she did not have a fancy title. For birthdays, she smiled at her teammates, and she was a big reason we could resolve a lot of conflicts. And when the project succeeded, she was not the one asking for credit. She simply smiled and moved on to the next challenge. She taught me something invaluable which has stayed with me over the years. Leadership is not just about being in the front. The real leadership is in supporting people from behind. The invisible leadership, which is the next big force. There have been times in my career when things did not go as planned. When I was just putting way too much effort, but success was little far off. But it's because of the invisible leadership, that I've seen with my teammates, with the colleagues I got to work with, that I could really get through some of those tough times. Another Bollywood moment. Some guesses here? Tare Zameen Par, yes. And it's a powerful movie. It's a movie about a dyslexic child whose efforts mainly go unnoticed until a teacher comes around and helps him discover his creativity, his confidence. It's a powerful narrative. And if you think about it, in Tare Zameen Par, the transformation of this boy was not loud. It was gentle, it was slow, and deeply emotional. Which brings me to the next big force, the emotional connection. Your success is not just about how intelligent you are. A big part of it really comes down to how emotionally connected you feel with whatever it is that you're doing. And there are different ways this emotion comes out. One of the times this emotional connection and emotion becomes quite important at workplace is a time when you share your feedback with someone. And what's amazing is something as simple as thank you. What you did in that meeting really made a difference. If you were not there with me in that project, things could have gone sideways. If you do not pay a lot of attention to emotional connection already, I would ask you to pay attention to two things. A, how emotionally connected you feel with whatever it is you're doing, and that's one of the big drivers to success. And B, pay attention to how you make someone else feel emotionally. The real test of character is not when the world is watching us. It's in fact when no one is. I have seen teams take tough calls, show a lot of integrity, moments that never make it to the limelight. Which brings me to the next invisible force, the values that guide us. But there's so much about values. What do these values actually mean in action? See, it's the project manager who comes to you and is the first one to admit a mistake, because to that PM, honesty is more important than the optics of being seen in charge. It's the developer who refuses to compromise on the quality of code, because to the person, quality is a promise he has made to the next person down the line, in spite of the client pressure, delivery timeline, all of that. It's a teammate, who stands up for another colleague who is not in the room, because to this team it's more foundational. So values are like the compass, which is guiding us when things are unclear. And here's the thing. Values are highly contagious. When one person does the right thing, in spite of challenges, it gives others the permission to do exactly the same. And if many people do it over time, it becomes our fabric, it becomes culture. So, let's bring it all together. You've all seen a wonderful movie. You really enjoyed it. Now the movie is over and credits begin to roll. These hundreds of names appear on the screen. Most of us never pay attention to those names. And yet, without those hundreds of names, there would be no magic, no fun in that movie. Success in real life is exactly the same. So here's my ask. Celebrate the invisible. Let us be the leaders who don't just chase the spotlight, but shine it on those who truly deserve it. Thank you.